Are you ready to cook a steak? Because I am. I have here a beautiful strip steak. So taking a look at this steak right here, as you can see, it's nice and cherry red. And before I cook the strip steak, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pat it dry. And why I'm going to do that is to ensure that there's not a lot of moisture left on the steak. Because if I put it on the grill or in a pan, it's going to steam it and it's going to make it tough. And we don't want to do that. So here's our strip steak. Now, normally you wouldn't marinate a strip steak because it's already tender, but there are some steaks out there that need a little help. For instance, a London broil or a top round steak is going to need some marination. And you would put it in either a glass pan or a Ziploc bag and marinate it from 12 to 24 hours, but never over 24 hours. If you decided you really wanted to marinate this strip steak, I wouldn't do it any more than 2 hours, which is recommended. What I am going to do, though, is I'm going to put a great seasoning on it, and it's going to be my secret ingredient. You can also put on a different steak rub if you want, and that's going to flavor the steak and enhance its flavor just a little bit without overpowering it. So I'm going to go ahead, and I'm going to shake it from way up high so that it's evenly coated, as you see right here. And then I am going to turn on my pan and make sure that I have a medium heat. The other things I'm going to make sure that I have with me are a tongs, because you never want to turn a steak with a fork. If I were to do that, what's going to happen? I'm going to stick that in and all the juices are going to go out. So you never want to use a fork. I'm going to put that aside. You want a thermometer for temperature. So the 3 T's of grilling or cooking a steak are time, temperature, and tongs. And the time is based on the type of cut and how thick that cut is. This is about 1 inch thick, so this could probably take about anywhere from 9 to 11 minutes. I'm going to take this steak, I'm going to put it right on the pan itself. Woo, listen to that sizzle. Now, I'm not going to touch that steak. I'm not going to turn it a lot. I'm not going to flip it. I'm just going to let it sizzle. And what I'm going to watch for is a browning effect. I'm going to turn this pan a little bit over here, and we're going to see that browning from the bottom and go about halfway up, and that's when I'm going to turn it. My goal is to cook this steak to a medium rare, which is 145-degree internal temperature. After which, when I'm done, I'm going to put my steak in a clean plate and I'm going to put it aside and maybe take a piece of aluminum foil, lightly put it over there and let it rest for about 5 minutes. That steak, all those juices are going to go back into the steak, and then it'll continue to cook for a few more degrees, and it's going to be perfect every single time. So one of the cool things is sometimes that people like the lines on the steaks. This is a steak pan, so this has been sitting here for a little bit, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it like a quarter turn, and you'll see the difference on the steak when we flip it over. All right, as you can see here, the steak is getting done, and I really haven't messed with it except for that quarter turn. So now I'm going to take it, and look at that sizzle. So I'm going to let this sit here for a few more minutes before I get out my thermometer. And one of the things that we're going to have to remember is that, one, you don't want to take the steak's temperature by putting the thermometer in straight in, because it's going to hit the bottom of that pan. The other thing is that you don't want to just slide it in this way, because again, it could hit the bottom of the pan. I know oftentimes people say, hey, it's about the meaty part of your thumb, and if you have your hand open or whatever, that is not a true indication of temperature. This is the only true indication of proper temperature, whether it's ground beef, burgers, or steaks. The goal for this steak is going to be 145 degrees, which is recommended by the beef industry for the perfect steak. So 145 is medium rare, 160 is medium, and 170 and above is well done. So I'm going to turn on my thermometer right here, and I'm going to show you how to take the temperature properly. All right, I'm going to test this steak and see if it's done. Sure enough, it's ready to go. So I'm going to take it off of my pan. I'm going to put it right here on the plate itself. And as I mentioned, I'm going to take this piece of aluminum foil and just lightly tent it over the steak. I'm not going to make it nice and tight. And we're going to let that rest for 5 to 7 minutes while I go get the potatoes ready and the vegetables ready and the salad ready and pour some milk. So for tips on cooking and grilling steaks, go to beefitswhatsfordinner.com.